The Fighting Quarter Zips, Lamont Paris's team, heads to Littlejohn Coliseum in Clemson, South Carolina, and puts their 7-0 record on the line as they take on the top 25 ranked Clemson Tigers, who were also 7-0, one of the most highly anticipated rivalry game matchups on the hardwood that I think we can all recall in recent memory. Going to be a lot of fun, guys. An 8 o'clock tip on the ACC network. Like I mentioned, Clemson, guys, they are 24th in the latest AP Top 25, a 7-0 record. High-quality wins, guys. They beat Alabama at their place as nearly a double-digit underdog. Beat Pittsburgh in their last game on the road. Brad Brownell, their head coach. And, of course, guys, this was a prove-it year for him. So far, so good for Brownell. The Tigers are averaging 80.3 points per game, allowing 68.7 points per game and shooting 48% from the field. So Clemson has been an offensive juggernaut. They play a high-tempo, up-tempo style of offense, and they outscore you, and that's the way they have been winning games. Guys, as we move into top storylines, things I'm most excited for, what I'm most looking forward to in this ballgame. Again, this is the best matchup on the hardwood since when, guys? When's the last time the matchup was this anticipated, right? Both teams at this point in the season undefeated. I think I saw a stat, guys. This is the first time since past the third or fourth game in the season that both of these teams have been undefeated when they've met. Certainly, guys, like last year, I think the teams were 2-0 or something like that. They've been 2-0 or 3-0 or what have you. But it's the first time to this point that both sides are undefeated, and both sides have really high hopes and really high expectations as well. Also, guys, let's just call it for what it is, right? Like the basketball rivalry and even baseball, but certainly the basketball rivalry, it takes a back seat to what happens on the gridiron, right? Like no matter who wins or loses this game, if South Carolina wins this game, it's not going to erase the memory of what happened just a week and a half or so ago when Clemson won at Williams-Brice Stadium. Same thing as if last year, if Clemson had won at Colonial Life Arena, it would not have taken away or made the sting any less of the Gamecocks' 31-30 win at Memorial Stadium. That being said, though, it still means a lot. These are two fan bases that I still believe. Some folks will debate, some folks will argue, but they love their college basketball. They love their respective teams, and I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's men's basketball, women's basketball, football, baseball, cornhole, golf, ping pong. I don't care what sport it is. When you get South Carolina and Clemson in a matchup, it's always a ton of fun, and I expect more of the same tonight. You know the intensity will be through the roof in this one. Guys, when you look at this game for South Carolina, fairly or unfairly, there's probably a lot of folks out there, right? A lot of folks tuned in right now, a lot of folks hearing the sound of my voice. You're a diehard, right? You tune in every single game. You're not you're not a casual, if you will, right? That's the beauty. There's not a lot of SEC casuals out there. But you know as well as I do that many folks who are especially still in football mode, they've been watching this team from afar, and they've acknowledged the nice win, sure, beating Grand Canyon, beating Virginia Tech, what have you, all the non-conference play. But they have not let themselves sort of submerge themselves fully into it, right? Like they're not buying the hype right now of, okay, well, it's just the non-conference. 7-0, well, who have you played? Like, who really cares? It doesn't matter till January. Admittedly, guys, I've been a skeptic at times. Like, I understand. It's really hard to get into it when we're so immersed in football right now. Football's still going on, right? It's like, okay, you're beating up on these little teams, so be it, whatever. Look at the rest of the December slate after this game, by the way. You've got Florida A&M, Elon, nothing really jumps out. So this is a game. I say all that to say this. This is a game, and this is a game, fairly or unfairly, that a lot of fans are going to look at and say, okay, are you for real? You beat Clemson, a top 25 Clemson team, at their place. I think all of a sudden you see the hype and the excitement and the energy around Gamecocks basketball. I think you're going to see it increase. If you want to call it jumping on the bandwagon, whatever it might be. But I think you're going to see it's going to be like a new level. Like, okay, this win is different than the others. The others were nice, but this win is different. Again, fairly or unfairly, South Carolina loses this game, and you're going to see Lamont Paris's team get written off. Again, I'm not telling you that's right, that's wrong, what have you. I'm just recognizing that that's probably going to happen. There's a lot of folks out there that are still kind of sort of wait and see. Like, and this is a big test tonight for South Carolina to prove they're for real. So again, fairly or unfairly, there's going to be a lot of folks that maybe tonight, this is actually their first time tuning in all season long. Gamecocks basketball has the opportunity to show folks, hey, this hasn't been because it's weak competition. It hasn't been smoke and mirrors. This thing is for real in year 2 of the Lamont Paris era. Guys, big question I have in this game. Can South Carolina rely on the 3 ball? I think, guys, we all know the Gamecocks, they are best when they are making their threes. Made a school record 18 in their last game. South Carolina is shooting 40.2% from three-point range. Get this, Clemson, 234th in three-point defense. So the matchup there heavily favors South Carolina. You need your guys on the outside like Studi, Michi Johnson, Talon Cooper to get hot early and often and make things happen from beyond the arc. Guys, the matchup down low is another big one to watch. How does B.J. Mack fare? Obviously, P.J. Hall is the big-time playmaker for Clemson. They've got size, and Ian Schifflin also as well down low. That matchup down low is one a lot of folks are talking about going into this game. Who is the more physical basketball team when it comes to on the boards, on the glass, getting rebounds, getting second chance points, what have you. And finally, guys, before we get into the players to watch for Clemson, my final thought, my final storyline, if you will, going into this game is this. What would a win mean for Lamont Paris's program in year 2 of his tenure to go on the road to Clemson, right? You already beat Clemson last year on that shot from Chico Carter, an incredible win, right? Did it mean a whole lot in the grand scheme of the season? Not necessarily, but still, it's always good to beat your rival. What would a win mean in year 2 of Lamont Paris's program? Not just getting a win over your rival. That's big in itself. A top 25 win over your rival. Also, it would mean South Carolina would move to 8-0 with a game against East Carolina upcoming, a game that'll be challenging. But guys, after that, again, you've got like Florida A&M, Elon, somebody else, I can't even recall, but like the non-conference schedule works out in such a way that if you beat Clemson, I think it's realistic to assume and expect and to think that South Carolina, guys, could finish non-conference play undefeated. And there's not a soul out there that would not have signed up for that. So there's a lot of the line, guys, beating your rival, going back-to-back on the hardwood, beating your rival. That's big in itself, but getting a top 25 win, getting a quad 1 win is what you would expect this will be. A lot of good can come from a victory tonight. And also, guys, overcoming the odds. You're an 8.5-point underdog in this game. First true road game of the season for Lamont Paris's team would be huge to get the win at Littlejohn Coliseum. Guys, let's move into Clemson players to watch for. Guys, you should keep an eye on. First, guys, of course, we already mentioned him. We'll start with P.J. Hall. Fantastic player for the Tigers, 21.4 points per game, 7.7 rebounds per game. He's a 42% three-point shooter. He is truly the leader of this Tigers basketball team, guys. Also, Joseph Girard III, averaging 14.7 points per game. He's a 46% three-point shooter, which is the best on Clemson's team. And finally, guys, the big physical specimen down low, Ian Schifflin, 7.7 points per game, 9.3 rebounds per game. That leads the team in regards to rebounds. So Clemson's got a little bit of everything, guys. Brad Brownell's done a really good job assembling this roster. and they're confident coming into this one, guys, which leads me into my prediction. South Carolina and Clemson, both these teams feel like they've got a lot to prove, especially the Gamecocks. You look at Clemson's resume right now, some really impressive wins. That win at Alabama, one of the best, I think, early on in this college basketball season. They were 8 or 9 point underdogs, and they won that game straight up, then beat Pittsburgh in their last game. Meanwhile, South Carolina, what an opportunity for Lamont Paris, for this program, for them to show, hey, it's not just the schedule. Like, we are this good, right? We have made strides, and all of a sudden, guys, we agreed in the preseason, right, that you made the NIT this year. That was going to be a successful season, especially after what year one had in store. You beat Clemson. The path just continues to clear for the NIT and maybe even more than that. Right now, guys, South Carolina would be the first 4 out, but guess what? You keep winning, and that bubble, your chances keep getting better and better. First true road test for South Carolina. Clemson has been red hot. South Carolina has been red hot. Something has to give. And unfortunately, guys, I do favor the home team in this one. Call me a skeptic, call me a hater, what have you. But what I've seen from Clemson thus far, their quality of wins, I just know more about the Tigers at this point. I think they will win the battle when it comes to physicality on the boards. I think being at home will be enough to give Clemson the edge. Guys, lock me in. I've got Tigers 84, South Carolina 79. I think the Gamecocks will cover the spread. They've covered the spread this season, guys, in every game but one this season. I think they'll do that again, but I've got Clemson eking out a really close win on their home floor again. I've got Tigers 84, Gamecocks 79.